8 a.m. was
What
supposed
are you
to end
doing? You can't
everything.
sign that.
His
This is
company,
completely
his
unacceptable. We're
legacy, his
ruined.
pride. But one cleaning lady's terrified interruption rewrote the moment that was meant to break him. Hi, my beautiful family. Thank you for sticking around with me through our trying times. I really appreciate your love and support. We're finally back again to give you many more beautiful stories. If you're already hooked in for today's story and ready to enjoy it, click subscribe and let me know in the comments where you're watching from, because tomorrow I will be giving you another story just as interesting as this one, and you don't want to miss it. Now let us begin. The sun hadn't fully risen over the glass towers of Sterling Industries. The building was still half asleep, ghostly quiet hallways, humming vents, and motion sensors blinking like tired eyes. Inside the top-floor office, billionaire Adrian Sterling sat alone, elbows on the cold marble table, staring at papers that felt heavier than bricks. His reflection in the tinted window didn't look like the man the world once knew. His hair was thinner, his jaw tight, his eyes carrying the exhaustion of battles he'd already accepted he lost. The suit he wore wasn't tailored glory anymore. It hung slightly loose, like even the fabric had given up on him. Adrian Sterling, founder of a global empire, visionary, now a headline waiting to happen. He exhaled, slow and shaky. The bankruptcy documents in front of him felt like a death certificate, not of wealth, but of identity. His fall from grace had been brutal. A sudden market crash, a cascade of bad deals, and whispers of betrayal inside his own board. "You built this company," he whispered to himself, "and you destroyed it." No one was scheduled to arrive until 8 a.m. No cameras, no lawyers, just him and the final signature that would end everything. Across the building, on the maintenance floor, Mira Alvarez pushed her cleaning cart toward the executive elevator, rubbing her sore wrist through worn-out gloves. Her shift had started at 4 a.m., like every day. The world rarely noticed the people like her, the ones who made things clean before anyone arrived to mess them up. Mira didn't complain, but she never felt seen. Tonight she was running behind. A broken vacuum had slowed her down. If she didn't finish the executive offices before 8 a.m., she'd get another warning. She couldn't afford one. Not with her son's hospital bills stacking like towers she couldn't climb. When she stepped out onto the top floor, she expected silence. But she noticed the glow under the CEO's office door. He's here? At this hour? She hesitated. What if he disturbed him? What if he yelled? She had been yelled at before, for making noise, for being too slow, for simply existing in the wrong place at the wrong time. But she needed to empty the bins, wipe down the desk, finish her checklist. Quietly, she knocked. No answer. She gently pushed the door open and froze. There he was, the billionaire everyone thought was untouchable, sitting slumped over a table of documents, eyes hollow. Mira swallowed hard. Sir, I can come back if—" He didn't even look up. "Do whatever you need," he said, voice dry, worn. "It's not like anything in this room matters anymore." His words hit her in a place she didn't expect, because they sounded exactly like the one she used to tell herself, on her hardest nights. She stepped inside quietly, heart pounding. 2 lives, worlds apart, both carrying invisible wounds. And in less than 1 hour, at exactly 8 a.m., their worlds would collide in a way neither could imagine.
The moment the title promised, the collision, the crack, the shift neither of them saw coming. The clock on the wall ticked toward 7:55 a.m., each second a quiet drumbeat marching Adrian toward his own execution. He rubbed his temples, rereading the final page of the bankruptcy agreement. His signature line waited like an open grave. His pen trembled, not from fear, he told himself, but fatigue. Maybe that was a lie. He wasn't sure anymore. Mira moved through the office as quietly as she could. Empty the trash, dust the shelves, stay invisible. She could feel the tension in the air, heavy, tight, like the atmosphere before a storm. She didn't dare speak. She could practically taste his sadness, though she didn't know the details. She reached for the trash bin beside his desk. A stack of documents jutted slightly over the edge as if something had slipped. She steadied the bin, then noticed a second set of papers on the floor beneath his chair. "Sir, I think something fell," she said softly. "It doesn't matter," Adrian muttered, flipping another page. "There's nothing left worth picking up." Her instinct told her to stay quiet, but something tugged at her. She crouched down, collected the fallen pages, and began aligning them neatly. She wasn't trying to read anything. She just had a habit of fixing things she noticed were out of place. But then, something caught her eye. A number, a figure, a total that didn't make sense, even to her. Her brows knit together. The page she held didn't match the one on the table. The totals were different, not by a small amount, but a massive one. A difference so large it made her stomach flip. "Sir?" she whispered. He didn't look up. She swallowed, her pulse kicking. "Sir, I think this page has a mistake." His pen froze mid-air. Slowly, he lifted his gaze to her, his eyes tired and irritated. "You don't need to worry about that. It's complicated legal language." I know it's not my place, but the numbers aren't the same." He frowned. "What?" She flinched, not because he yelled, he didn't, but because his attention felt like a spotlight she wasn't used to standing under. I'm sorry," she stuttered, handing him the papers. "But this page says you owe $24 million more than the other one. I just thought, maybe it's supposed to be like that." Adrian snatched the papers, his attention melting into confusion, then something sharper. He shuffled through the stack, eyes widening. The totals really were different. Not a typo, not a formatting issue. Two versions of the same page, one devastating, one merely catastrophic. His chest tightened. He flipped them back and forth again, hands shaking now. What is this?" Mira stepped back, unsure whether she'd just helped or ruined everything. He stood abruptly, chair screeching across the floor. "These aren't matching drafts. Someone swapped this page." He looked at her, really looked at her for the first time. "You saw this?" She nodded, terrified. "I didn't mean anything by it." Adrian wasn't listening anymore. He was pacing, adrenaline pouring through his veins. A switched page, a massive discrepancy, minutes before he was meant to sign. His mind raced. Who had access? Who wanted this buried? Who wanted him completely destroyed instead of just bankrupt? At 7:59 a.m., he stopped pacing and stared at Mira, the cleaning lady who was supposed to be invisible. "You may have just saved my life." Her breath hitched. The clock struck 8 a.m. The meeting was about to begin, and the signature they expected him to give would no longer be the one he intended.
The knock on the door came at 8:02 a.m., sharp and impatient. Adrian froze. Mira did too. Outside, muffled voices murmured. The lawyers, the board representatives, the vultures waiting for the final signature that would finish carving up the remains of Sterling Industries. He looked down at the mismatched pages again, pulse thundering. "Someone did this intentionally," he whispered. "Someone wanted me to sign away far more than what I actually owe." Mira kept her hands clasped tightly in front of her, as if unsure what to do with them. She wanted to slip out of the office unnoticed, disappear back into the hallways where the world didn't ask for her opinion. But he looked at her again, and something had changed in his eyes. Urgency, clarity, and fear wrapped around a flicker of hope. Another knock, harder this time. "Mr. Sterling?" a stiff voice called. "We're ready to finalize the signing." Adrian's heart hammered. He needed time to think, time to analyze, time to figure out who sabotaged him and why. "Give me a moment," he called back. Mira stepped toward the door. "I should go. I shouldn't be here." "No," he said quickly, surprising even himself. You found something no one else saw. That matters." Her chest tightened. She wasn't used to mattering. He turned away from the door, scanning the documents again. How could I have missed this? How could my team have missed this? His voice shook with anger and humiliation. The truth was raw. He had stopped trusting his own instincts long ago, beaten down by loss, betrayal, and shame. And that shame made him blind. Mira watched him struggle, a storm of thoughts swirling behind his eyes. She recognized that look. It was the same look she had on nights she didn't know how to pay for her son's medication. "Sir, sometimes we stop seeing things when we're hurting." Her voice held something warm, something quiet but undeniable. It disarmed him. Another impatient knock rattled the door. Adrian jerked his chin toward the hallway. "They'll want an explanation." "Do you have one?" she asked softly. He didn't answer. He moved to the window, staring out at the city he once believed he owned. "Whoever did this wanted me out of the way completely. They want to bury me." "Then don't let them," Mira whispered. For a moment, the room went silent. Her courage, hesitant, trembling, but real, struck him deeper than any business advice he'd heard in months. He turned toward her again. "I owe you." "You don't owe me anything," she interrupted, eyes lowering. "I'm just a cleaner." "No," he said firmly. "You're the only person who helped me today." Her breath hitched, as if the words were physically hard to hold. A burst of knocking slammed the silence apart. "Mr. Sterling, if you're ready, kindly open the door." He inhaled sharply. Mira stepped back, instinctively reverting to smallness. She moved toward her cart, ready to wheel it out, ready to step back into invisibility, but he stopped her with a quiet plea. "Please, stay." She froze. Her pulse fluttered. No one important had ever asked her to stay. Mira stared at him, unsure. "Why would you want me here?" "Because you're the only person in this building who doesn't want something from me, and because I trust what you saw." Outside, the board waited. Inside, two worlds collided under pressure neither asked for. And the next move would force them both deeper into the truth, whether they were ready or not.
The door swung open before Adrian could answer it. 3 lawyers and 2 board members stepped inside with the stiff confidence of men who believed the end was already written. "Mr. Sterling," said Harold Dane, the board's acting chair, plastering on a thin, controlled smile. "We allotted this room for the signing. The documents are ready. All we need is your signature." Adrian didn't move. Mira stood behind him, near her cleaning cart, trying to shrink into the wall. Harold's eyes flicked toward her. "Why is she in here?" "She's helping me," Adrian said, calm but firm. A ripple of offense passed through the men in suits. Help? From a cleaner? Harold cleared his throat. "Well, regardless, the financials are finalized. The sooner we sign, the sooner we can all move forward." Mira watched Adrian's jaw tighten. He looked down at the papers again, the 2 conflicting versions she'd handed him. His mind churned. The sabotage wasn't just sloppy manipulation, it was deliberate. Someone had inserted an inflated liability page to push him into irreversible ruin. He lifted the mismatched sheets. These numbers, they aren't the same. Excuse me? This page, he said, tapping one copy, states I owe 38 million. But this one, he held up the other, states I owe 62 million. Care to explain why? The room stiffened. That's impossible, one of the lawyers blurted. We reviewed everything. No, Adrian said firmly, you reviewed what someone wanted you to see. The tension turned electric. Mira stepped back, instinctively bracing for anger, for blame, for the explosion that usually followed when people with power felt cornered. Harold tried to laugh it off. Mr. Sterling, with all due respect, you've been under tremendous amount of stress. Perhaps you're— Adrian cut him off. Don't patronize me. The sudden strength in his voice surprised everyone, even Mira. He walked toward them, placing the mismatched pages side by side on the table. These numbers, they aren't the same. Someone switched this, and they did it knowing that I'd sign without questioning. The lawyers exchanged nervous glances. Harold looked at the pages, then at Mira, the only outsider in the room. And that's when she felt it. The shift. The suspicion. The subtle narrowing of eyes. Adrian caught it too. Don't. She didn't do this. And how exactly did she notice something that your executive team supposedly missed? Mira shrank. That old familiar shame flooded back. Adrian stepped protectively between them, because she was actually looking. The room fell silent. He continued, calmer now, but more dangerous. Unlike some people in this company, she wasn't waiting for me to fail. Harold stiffened. Are you suggesting— I'm stating, Adrian said, that someone here wanted to bury me deeper than bankruptcy. One of the lawyers shifted nervously. We may need to postpone the signing to investigate the discrepancy. Damn right we do, Adrian said. The men hesitated, not used to losing control of the narrative. Harold cleared his throat, frustration simmering beneath his corporate smile. Very well, we'll reconvene once the numbers are reviewed. He turned sharply and exited, the others trailing behind. The moment the door closed, the room exhaled. Adrian let out a shaky breath. That could have gone worse. Mira swallowed. Are you in trouble because of me? He turned to her, gentle but steady. Mira, you didn't cause the trouble. You revealed it. She stared at him, eyes unsure. But they looked at me like I didn't belong in the same room. You belong, Adrian said simply. More than some of them do. Her throat tightened. For the first time in years, someone important had defended her, actually stood between her and the storm. She wiped her hands on her gloves, heart beating fast. So, what happens now? Adrian looked at the corrupted documents, his voice dropping. Now, we find out who tried to destroy me. He met her eyes. And I can't do it alone. Her breath caught. She didn't know why he chose her, but she understood this much. They were now tied together, by truth, by danger, by something fragile and growing. And whether either of them wanted it or not, they were in this fight together. The office felt colder after the board left, as if the walls themselves were holding their breath. Adrian paced the floor, documents in hand, eyes sharp with a fury he hadn't felt in months. Mira stood near the window, fingers twisting the hem of her gloves. She didn't know where to stand, how to breathe, or whether she'd crossed a line that couldn't be uncrossed. Someone inside my own company, Adrian muttered, tried to bury me alive. He slammed the papers down on the desk. Mira flinched. Adrian froze. Sorry, I didn't mean to— It's okay, she whispered. But it wasn't. Not really. Not for either of them.
He ran a hand through his hair, voice cracking with the weight of everything collapsing around him. I trusted them, all of them, and they've been feeding on my downfall like vultures. Mira looked down at her shoes. Sometimes, the people closest to us hurt us the most. Adrian stopped pacing, eyes narrowing. You say that like you know. She didn't answer. Her silence said enough. Before he could ask, the office phone rang. Once, twice, aggressively. Adrian picked it up. Sterling. A voice on the other end spoke fast and sharp. He listened, and with each word his expression darkened. When he hung up, his hands shook. It's worse than I thought. What happened? Mira asked, stepping closer before she realized she shouldn't. He exhaled painfully. The inflated page? It came from the accounting department, and they're saying I approved it. But that's not true. No, he said, voice breaking. But they have a digital signature from my login. Someone forged it. The truth hit him like a punch. They weren't just sabotaging him. They were crafting a narrative, one that made his downfall look self-inflicted. A trap. A clean one. One he might not escape. I'm going to lose everything, he whispered. Mira stepped forward without thinking. No, you can fight this. He let out a bitter laugh. Fight? With what? Every lawyer in this building works for the board. They'll spin this however they want. You have the truth, she said softly. He shook his head. Truth doesn't win against power. Yes, it does, she said, voice trembling but strong. It has to. For a moment, he believed her. Just a little. But reality crashed back quickly. His shoulders slumped, defeat taking hold again. I shouldn't have dragged you into this. She frowned. You didn't drag me. I stepped in. And now they'll go after you too. They'll blame you for the discrepancy. They'll say you tampered with documents. They'll make you the easy target. Her face paled. It was the first time she realized her job, the only thing keeping her son's treatments going, could vanish because she opened her mouth. Adrian saw the fear, and shame stabbed him. I'm sorry, he whispered. Mira blinked rapidly, swallowing emotion. It's not your fault. Maybe not, but maybe you should walk away from this, for me, before it hurts you. Her heart cracked. Walk away? After she risked everything to speak up? After he defended her? After they both stood in the middle of the same storm? Her instinct screamed to run, to protect herself, to disappear the way she always had. But something inside her rebelled. No, she said quietly. Adrian looked up, startled. She repeated it stronger this time. No, I'm not walking away. He stared at her like he didn't understand why she'd stay. She stepped closer. You didn't leave me alone in that room when everyone looked at me like I was nothing. Her voice thickened. So I'm not leaving you alone now. Silence fell. Heavy, messy, beautiful. And in that silence, they made a choice. Not spoken, but felt. They would face whatever came next, together.
The conference room door slammed open so hard it rattled the glass walls. Every head jerked up. Marcus stood there. No suit jacket, no forced billionaire composure, just raw fury burning in his eyes. Behind him, Elena followed nervously, clutching the folder like a shield. Derek, the CFO, froze mid-sentence. His face tightened for a single split second before morphing into a perfect mask of surprise. "Marcus, you're back early. Is everything okay?" he asked, voice smooth as polished steel.
Marcus walked in slowly, the silence crackling. "Oh, everything's perfect. In fact, I've been doing some reading." Derek's eyes flicked to the folder in Elena's hands. "Ah," he said quietly. He knew. Marcus dropped the folder on the table. Pages spilled everywhere like a waterfall of evidence. "Care to explain," Marcus said, jaw clenched, "why the numbers I trusted with you were altered?" The board members glanced at each other, confused, whispering. Derek kept his hands folded, calm, too calm. "Marcus," he began, "you're under a lot of stress. There's been a misunderstanding." "No, there's been a betrayal." Elena stood behind him, trembling but determined. "He forged the documents. I saw the numbers. I saw the access logs. He was moving money between accounts and hiding it under fake subsidiaries." Gasps erupted. Derek's mask cracked. "You're taking the word of a cleaning lady?" Marcus turned slowly toward him, voice low and lethal. "I'm taking the word of the only person in this building who hasn't lied to me." Derek's jaw tightened. The boardroom erupted in overlapping voices, accusations, shock, denial. Marcus raised his hand, and everything went silent. "Derek, you tried to destroy me to take over my company. You nearly succeeded. But you made one mistake." He glanced at Elena. "You didn't count on someone honest being in the room." Derek's calm facade evaporated. He lunged for the documents, but Marcus slammed his hand down on them first. Security rushed in. "You're done," Marcus said coldly, "effective immediately." As they escorted Derek out, he twisted back, spitting. "You won't survive without me, Marcus. This company will crumble." Marcus didn't flinch. It already almost did. "But I won't make the mistake of trusting the wrong person twice." Derek disappeared through the doors. The room exhaled as one. Marcus turned to Elena, and for the first time since the company began collapsing, his shoulders eased. "You saved everything," he said softly. Elena shook her head. "I just cleaned. I just noticed something." Marcus smiled. Sometimes the smallest eyes see the biggest truth. She blushed, holding the folder close to her chest. But this was only the beginning, because exposing Derek's crime didn't fix the company. There were still millions missing, investors panicking, and a board on the verge of collapse. And Marcus knew one thing. If he wanted to save his empire, he couldn't do it alone.
The sun was just rising when Marcus walked onto the top-floor balcony overlooking the city he once thought he'd lose. The sky glowed soft orange, like the world itself was offering him a second chance. Inside, the boardroom was buzzing again, but this time, not with panic, with hope. The auditors had arrived. The forged accounts were traced. The missing millions were located, restored, and locked behind new safeguards. Derek's schemes fell apart like paper in rain. But none of that felt as important as the woman standing quietly by the window, fidgeting with her cleaning gloves, unsure if she still belonged in a place like this. Marcus approached Elena slowly. "You don't have to stay by the door," he said gently. "You're not in trouble." She laughed nervously. "Feels strange being here. All the important people, the fancy clothes. I'm just—" "You're the reason this company didn't die today," Marcus said. He motioned toward the board, a room full of billion-dollar decisions waiting on his command, yet he spoke only to her. "I couldn't have seen the truth, not alone. I was blinded by stress, pride, everything. He paused. You weren't. Elena swallowed hard. Anyone would have said something. No, Marcus said softly. Not anyone. Silence wrapped around them, quiet, warm, grateful. A board member stepped out. Mr. Hale, we're ready for the vote. Marcus turned to Elena. Come with me. Her eyes widened. But I'm not. You're someone I trust, he said simply. And so, for the first time in her life, the cleaning lady walked into a board meeting at the side of a billionaire. She sat in the corner, hands in her lap, listening as the board unanimously voted not to declare bankruptcy. Instead, they approved Marcus's proposal to rebuild from within, with stricter oversight, transparent accounting, and new ethics guidelines. All inspired by a woman who saw what the powerful had overlooked. When the vote passed, applause erupted. Marcus didn't look at the board. He looked at Elena. She wiped a tear quickly, hoping no one noticed. But he noticed. Hours later, the halls emptied. The building felt lighter, almost reborn. Marcus walked Elena to the elevator. Your shift technically ended 12 hours ago, he said with a half-smile. She chuckled. Guess I got a little involved. More than involved. He hesitated, then added, Elena, I'd like to offer you a new position. She froze. A position? Her voice barely rose above a whisper. Yes, not as a cleaner, he said. As my integrity officer. Someone who notices things. Someone unafraid to speak the truth. You'd trust me with that? She asked, eyes wide. With my company and my life. Her breath hitched. I don't know what to say. Just say yes, he said softly. She did. And the elevator doors closed on the start of a new chapter, one written not out of power or fear, but out of honesty, courage, and unexpected partnership. As she left the building, the morning breeze brushed her face. A billionaire almost lost everything at 8 a.m. A cleaning lady had seen what no one else could, and together they saved each other.
Thank you for watching this story to the end. If you enjoyed this story, you will surely love the next one. It's as crazier and more intriguing as can ever imagine. So do check it out. Click on the image showing on your screen right now to watch the next one.